Univision Unews for Thursday, May 14th. I'm Lorraine, Caceres. We begin today with shocking testimony by Dr. Rick Bright, saying during a hearing before Congress, quote, "We could have done better, and adding some critical steps were not taken." The top infectious disease expert under both President Obama and President Trump outlined the mistakes made by the Trump administration. Let's go straight to Janet Rodriguez in Washington with more of this testimony and his warnings about where we stand with the coronavirus pandemic. Janet?
A very critical testimony of the efficiency of the federal government, and he says that the lack of action has simply cost lives. He said he alerted the highest levels at HHS and also at the White House of the lack of protective gear and medical. Dr. Bright also testified that the federal government doesn't have a master plan to equitably distribute the potential vaccine or the remdesivir, that medicine that could treat effectively the coronavirus. It says that there is no leadership, there is no master plan, and there is no way that the federal government can deal with this pandemic. Now, the president, leaving the White House just a few minutes ago, said he had been watching the testimony and said that Dr. Bright is simply an unhappy and disgruntled federal employee. Lorraine?
And Janet, we understand that the president is expressing doubt about the official COVID-19 death count.
Right, and the president was actually asked about that now leaving for Pennsylvania just a few minutes ago. He didn't answer the question, but we do understand from some reporting that some close aides to the...
Well, thank you so much. Janet Rodriguez reporting from Washington, D.C. And new unemployment numbers today from the Labor Department. The number of Americans who have applied for jobless benefits now tops 36 million. This as the chair of the Federal Reserve is warning of lasting economic damage as Democrats and Republicans try to find a solution moving forward. Andrea Linares has the latest.
Although unemployment numbers remain high, most economists expect the situation to improve somewhat as more areas begin loosening restrictions. Despite some employees being called back to work, the extent of rehiring is not reflected in the latest Labor Department report due to glitches in the system. Meanwhile, others complain that they still haven't been able to process their unemployment claims due to a system backlog. In Miami, Florida, Andrea Linares, Unews.
And Senator Richard Burr, the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, is resigning as committee head effective Friday. The news comes, and by this Sunday, at least 48 states will partially reopen. This as President Trump criticizes Dr. Fauci for warning lawmakers about reopening too soon. Meanwhile, Governor DeSantis of Florida just announced the two most affected counties in his states will begin reopening this coming Monday. Los Angeles County's stay-at-home order extended for at least 3 more months after not seeing a drop in infections and deaths in 14 days as experts recommend for a safe economic reopening. But as Jaime Garcia explains, there will be some lifting of restrictions and gradual reopenings as the situation improves. A new study has found the COVID-19 test being used by the White House frequently. And New Jersey is beginning to track down patients with coronavirus, a key to curbing the pandemic. More than 1,000 government employees will contact residents to get a realistic count of those affected. But as Blanca Rosa Liches explains, some wonder how effective contact tracing really is. There's much more ahead on News. Coronavirus is likely still a long way away. Remdesivir, the only drug that so far has shown some promise as a treatment for severe coronavirus patients, is in short supply. And now the government has announced plans for rationing it. Here's Marina Marchan. And as the coronavirus death toll in the United States grows, more families are finding out just how difficult it's become to say goodbye to loved ones. Benny Carranza has details on the changes to some long-standing rituals to say farewell to those who've passed. And some immigrant communities in the New York City area are in mourning and suffering from devastating financial hardships caused by the pandemic. To help ease some of that pain, some churches are uniting to help those most in need. Nayeli Chavez-Geller has the details.
Severely impacted by the coronavirus pandemic are undocumented and won't be able to receive government assistance, a situation to which churches have not turned their backs on and are providing economic aid as well as spiritual guidance during these tough times.
And ahead, stuck between a rock and the family of a 36-year-old man who worked at a meat processing plant in Dallas, Texas, is accusing his employer in connection with his death. Hugo Dominguez died in April from COVID-19. His family is now suing Quality Sausage for failing to protect Dominguez and its workers. Cheyenne Elahi is the Dominguez family attorney. Among the more than 36 million who have lost their jobs during the pandemic, there are thousands of foreigners who with work visas in the United States. The situation is delicate because they cannot apply for unemployment benefits or have a chance to get another job. One option is to remain undocumented, but with the threat of deportation. Here's Gianni Aponte. Coming up in Mexico, a beer shortage. And beer prices in Mexico have seen their biggest jump in a decade. It's largely because of the impact the coronavirus has had on the local economy and the precautionary steps being taken by the government. As Alejandra Flores explains, some beer drinkers and producers are not too happy.
The decision to stop beer production has been controversial and caused panic buying, especially in northern states where people have paid more than double the price of beer these days. But what's causing desperate consumers to stock up on beer?
In Panama, for the first time in almost 2 months, children were able to go outside on Wednesday, but they were up next. Learn how reservations are not required, but they are now an option at some New York State grocery stores. As Mariti Marangi explains, the goal is to promote social distancing. And wearing a mask is now the new normal, essential these days for the new normal. It's one of the ways we can help protect our neighbors. Shay Rodriguez has the details on the important do's and don'ts for your mask. And speaking of face masks, our next guest is showing the power of pitching in one mask at a time. Ashley Nell Tipton is a San Diego-based fashion designer who won season 14 of the hit show. Talking about coronavirus fashion, it looks like the pandemic is changing the way we dress. People are turning to puzzles to pass the time during the coronavirus lockdown. If you're looking for a my marriage is still not strong enough to be able to do something like this because all shades of red the same, that would be very, very difficult. That's all the time we have for today on Unews. I'm Lorraine Caceres. Thank you for watching. And on behalf of all of us here in the studio and those at home working remotely, stay home, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow.